Hi, and welcome to Module 6, and today we're going to be talking about the concepts surrounding the effects of sunrise and sunset light on color. So in our painting demo that we're going to be working on in this module, we're looking at a late evening sunset in wintertime. So the light is going to be at an extremely low angle. So we're going to have some really different lighting situations and dramatically different color situations than we've had in previous modules. What we'll cover today is first what the light key, light envelope is for sunrise, sunset, so that you can apply that to other sunrise, sunset situations. What the four key light qualities of very low angle daylight are that affect color, and how to use the four aspects of color to create a sense of very early morning or very late afternoon light. So let's dive right into what that light key or light envelope is for this time of day. And remember that the light key is the envelope of light in which all things are contained. So it is the container for the light that is going to affect the color. So in this sunset image, you're seeing the light at an extremely low angle, and you notice that the foreground becomes very, very low in contrast, and then the sky becomes very strong in contrast. Same thing happens in this one. So here we're looking straight at the light, at the sun as it sets. There are clouds in the sky that become silhouetted, as does the land. And once again, look at the foreground. The land in front is not as strongly illuminated as the background. So one of the things that you're going to notice spatially is that you have a flattening out of space at this time of day, because the emphasis, the main contrast, is at the background. Really key point here in order to be able to convey that sense of that time of day. So the overall light condition, the light key, is determined by the angle of the light, just a quick reminder, the direction of the light, whether it's diffused or direct, and the color of the light. And at this time of day, we're going to see some special things happen to those. It's also going to be affected by the time of day, the season of the year, the weather, and the location. We're focusing on a particular quality that happens at a particular time of day. So remember that the time of day can affect the color of the light. Morning and afternoon are warmer, noonday is cooler. But at sunrise and sunset, that angle is more pronounced than any other time of day. It is roughly parallel to the earth, or at a complete angle, 45-degree angle to whatever, 90-degree angle, to whatever is standing perpendicular on the earth. So that light is going to be at its warmest. When you compound that with a winter sky, you're going to get extremely warm light. If it were a summer sky, the light would not be quite as red, but the closer to winter it gets, the more red it's going to be. So you combine and layer on those different factors, and you can get really surprisingly interesting color combinations coming at that time of day. So in the example we're going to be working with today, we have very late afternoon light, extremely low angle. It's wintertime, and we're looking directly towards the sun. The angle is very, very low. We're looking towards the light. We have very direct light, and the color of the light is very, very warm orange, almost red orange. So the four key light qualities of very low angle daylight that are going to affect the color have to do with that low angle. That the impact of the low angle is going to give us that really strong red-orange light, very strong light in the background when we're looking towards the light, and limited contrast in the foreground. Let's look at some examples of that. Here we are just before the sun rises, early in the morning, looking out over an estuary on Edisto Island. And in the next two shots, you will see the light beginning to increase as the sun comes up. But notice that until then, there is less detail in the foreground and in the land. Here we have increasing light. And again, we're looking towards the sun. So we have limited detail in the foreground, lots of contrast and detail in the background. Now in this image, we are looking again towards the sun, which is blocked by a cloud in this case. Late afternoon light. And again, watch what happens to the land. Watch what happens to the contrast there. And then look at how it's impacted in the sky. So look, low angle of light, looking towards the light like this, we're going to have more contrast in the sky, less contrast in the foreground, in the land, in the middle ground. Same thing here. In this case, looking towards the illumination or the light, late afternoon, the sun has already dropped down below the horizon. So there is not the strong light that we had earlier at the horizon. And look at what it's doing to the color relationships that we see in the foreground, middle ground, and background. So how to use those four aspects of color to create a sense of very early morning or very late afternoon light? Let's go through what happens to value, hue, intensity, and temperature. Those are the keys to creating that sense of light at that particular day. First of all, when we're looking at value, you're going to have a strong contrast with value 1 through 9, predominantly at the horizon. You can see that here. In the area towards the sky, where the sky meets the tree line, is where you have the most contrast. It's where you have a stark difference between very light values and very dark values. You can see that here when we desaturate the photograph and look at it in black and white. You get a strong sense of illumination just from the value relationships. You also will have a strong contrast with complementary hues. So let's look at the dominant colors here. The color, the hue of the predominant hue of the land is an underlying violet color. It's slightly dulled, but it's a very, very, very dark violet. The predominant color in the sky is a yellow to yellow-orange. We have other colors as well, but we have a strong contrast in hue here. And what's driving that is that the color of the light is that strong orange, yellow-orange, which then casts the shadows into that complementary color, which is the violet. And we're going to use those complementary color relationships as we create our painting. You'll also have strong contrast with bright to dull intensities. It's just that you're going to have them where you might not expect them. And by that I mean we're going to have stronger contrast and intensity between the sky and the land. Duller colors in the land, more intense colors in the sky. And you can see that following through here in our painting. Also going to have strong contrast with temperatures from warm to cool. So look at the photograph again and you'll see we have cooler colors towards the top of the sky, extremely warm colors where the light is. And we have even still some warm to cool color relationships, contrasts going on within the land. The very small area that is lit towards the base of the tree line there on the right-hand side and in the middle of the photograph, that sense comes from the contrast of temperature, hue, intensity, and value. So the light key for sunrise, sunset is characterized predominantly by really strong contrast. Contrast in value with an extreme range from 1 to 9. Contrast in hue with lots of contrast and complements. Contrast in intensity from bright to dull. And warm to cool color temperature contrasts. So what we've covered today is the light key light envelope for sunrise sunset, the 4 key light qualities of very low angled daylight, and how to use those aspects of color to create the very early morning or late afternoon light. So let's do the work and make it real. I want you to dive into practice seeing the light key. Look at some of your own examples. Go outside, sit, and watch the sky. Pull out your own photographs and see if you can identify how those qualities are affecting the light in your photograph. Practice recognizing the qualities of side light, meaning light that is illuminating from the left or the right from your side, or light that is backlit when you're looking straight towards the light. Use the color spot tool to analyze the colors in your subject. Happy painting, everyone, and let's dive in.